I don't remember Zoom ever telling me that, but hey, we're live. Welcome to a show by show, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is episode 85. This show wants us dead in more ways than one. From the Book of Pod, I'm your host, JPO Jordan Pierce Owens, joined as always, at least until episode 100, by Dutch McAllister.
Oh, the countdown still counts, but you know what, though, my friend, we'll keep this going, probably even after 100, because I'm not sure what my replacement's going to be like yet. Until we find that out, I don't get to give you the stamp of approval yet.
We got a big stacked show for you guys. Absolutely stacked. We're talking Jigsaw. We're talking Angelina Jolie, some Netflix animation. And then we're also talking, speaking of Netflix, some zombies as well with Dave Bautista, some TV shows. And then the top 10 of the week is War. Good God, y'all. So stacked show, Dutch. I'm excited. Are you excited?
I'm very excited. I got to tell you, I have been in the move to watch movies lately more than I have. I think what it is that the juices are now flowing. We're going to the theater, we're seeing things, and then I come home and I say, I want to watch more. If I'm stuck at home all the time, I have it at my fingertips, and I don't care to watch it right away all the time. You know what I'm saying? So if I get out of my house to go to the theater, I want to watch more at my house. It's weird. I just feel that way about it.
No, I feel you. And the theater is indeed where we did go. We were at the good old Regal watching Spiral from the Book of Saw. All right, who's kicking off the reviews?
Well, I'll go right off and go off the rails if you want. The Spiral from the Book of Saw, as you said, is our first film. Working in a shadow of the shadow of his father, Detective Ezekiel Zeke Banks and his rookie partner take charge of an investigation into grisly murders that are eerily reminiscent of the city's gruesome past. Unwittingly trapped in the deepening mystery, Zeke finds himself at the center of the killer's morbid game. This stars Chris Rock, Samuel L. Jackson, Max Minghella? I see. I knew I messed that up. And Mangella, is that Mangella? Mangella and Marisol Nichols. Let me just start by saying, because I looked over at you after the first scene, and I was like, I don't remember it being so bloody for some reason, because I only saw the first Saw. I never got to see the other 7 that they made after this, or 8. Yes, 7. So this will be the 9th film. So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I don't remember it being so bloody. And it was hugely bloody in the very beginning, and it was continually done throughout. And I couldn't even watch the screen, when it was going on. But I thoroughly enjoyed myself during this film. I found Chris Rock probably in his best role that I've seen him in a long time. You go look over at Fargo, he actually puts on a pretty good performance over there. But for a movie performance, I think this is an actual better performance, a more depth than I've ever seen a Chris Rock ever act in a long time on the big screen. So I would like to say hats off to Chris and even Samuel Jackson for his bit, and even Max and everyone else. I just thought it was just it's never my cup of tea. As you know, I don't watch a lot of horror films, but I kind of enjoyed this one kind of thoroughly. But again, I had to turn away during most of the scene of all the killing. But what are your thoughts on this one?
Yes, this was an interesting one because, as you said, you've seen the one. I've actually sat through all of them. I've seen all of them, despite the fact that I don't think I've ever given any of them more than 2.5 stars, probably. And that's the first 2. Then it starts to become a 2-star movie for me. So, other than maybe the first, just because it's the original, this is easily the best of the bunch here because of Chris Rock. That's why you were in this. That's why you, for once, actually excited for a Saw movie, which is words I never thought you'd say. I too was intrigued. You know what I mean? The last several, I started to lose even more and more hope. They tried rebooting this once. If you don't remember, the last one was several years after the one before that. So we're trying to reboot again, this time with Chris Rock. That's what intrigued a lot of people here. And then later on, adding Sam Jackson into it as well. And Chris Rock is good, man. He commands his performance from the get-go. Me and you laughed out loud a couple times. There's some laughs in that first 30 to 45. Then he's a little more serious. Obviously, his bodies drop, and there's this usual. It's not very scary as far as it's got its torture porn, as people say, but there's not really a lot of good scares. That was my kind of problem with it. Is that me and you both mentioned like there's several times where just people aren't looking and they get kidnapped. No, despite being in an evil place, no one has head on a swivel. Nobody is smart, and that kind of get cliched after a while here. Because after a while, you're just like, I don't blame them getting kidnapped. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Multiple of my partners to die, and I'm clearly in a place where the killer at least was. Even if I don't think he's there, he at least was there. Maybe I'm gonna do this a little bit, you know. And
they never call for backup, man. They never call for backup.
Several times I'm just like, and back up now. How about now? Now's a good time. Now would be good, and they still never do. You know what I mean? So that's absolutely true too. And so it's fine. You know what I mean? It definitely, you know, when we got to the end, I was like, oh, okay, we're at the end already. You know what I mean? It's despite the fact that I think it kind of petered out a little bit in that last 30 to 45 minutes, and I don't know if I love the conclusion too either. You know what I mean? I was kind of left a little unfulfilled in a way here, but it'll get by the time here. I think it is easily the best character piece too of all the Saws. It actually gave me a character I kind of cared about, an actor I like, who does well, and it's fun to see him in a different vein. Obviously, you know what I mean. Despite the fact that he is funny early on, so yeah, I had enough fun as well.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm looking at my list. This was on number 6 on my list of things to watch in 2021. So I was very happy to see it. Again, we were both surprised by how high it was on my list due to the fact I'm not a very big horror film fan. But I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to give it probably a bigger rating than you. I don't know. I still think about the performance. I just like that performance. And of course, you could always in horror films run holes through it. You know what I'm saying? You can always pick apart everything like we did at the end of the film a little bit. But still, 3.5 snowflakes is what I gave it. I was very happy with that.
Knock off the half. I'll give it 3. I'll be nice and give it 3. It checks off, you know, relatively most boxes. Not groundbreaking, but at least it's better back to form. You know, we'll just make enough to where we get a necessary sequel, maybe, and then that will probably we get diminishing returns as it was once upon a time. And then we'll restart the cycle over again. In a decade, we'll get Adam Sandler in the new Saw. So.
How old will Adam Sandler be? He's already 50. So.
Okay, who's a younger actor?
Pete Davidson.
Pete Davidson will be in Saw 16.
Yeah, there you go.
from the epilogue of Saw. All right, yeah. So next up, we're going over to HBO Max or theaters if you're feeling froggy. Those Who Wish Me Dead. Hannah is a smoke jumper who's perched in a watchtower high above the Montana wilderness. She soon encounters Connor, a skittish boy who is bloodied, traumatized, and on the run in the remote forest. As Hannah tries to bring him to safety, she's unaware of the real dangers to follow: 2 relentless killers hunting Connor, and a fiery blaze consuming everything in its path. This stars Angelina Jolie, John Bernthal, Nicholas Hoult, Finn Little, Aidan Gillen, Medina Singhor, and Tyler Perry. Dutch, I did not see this, so is Tyler Perry in drag?
No, he's not for sure. He's nothing like that. But no, he's only in it for a brief period. I just thought I'd just mention him because he's in it just for a second or two. But everyone else, I got to tell you, if just looking at that cast alone, you just can't wait to watch this film because it is filled with just great names, great actors, and you know, and it's a piece about. You know, it's an Angelina Jolie who's suffered a horrific judgment call, and she's not very psychiatrically sound, so she finds herself up in that station. I'm not going to tell you what she's being troubled by. That's something that you can watch in the flashbacks for. And, of course, the young man, well, his father did something. It's not a bad thing, but there's reasons why things go wrong for him as well. And so these two tragic characters meet each other, form a friendship. Unfortunately, everything goes wrong. Nicholas Hoult, Finn Little also, not Finn Little, Aidan Gillen. I was calling him the bird. What was his little finger? Little finger, as I was thinking in my head. Fraden Gillen, but he is. They are the guys who are tracking down this little boy, basically to snuff him out, and that's their job. And John Berthol's in it, and he's the cop of the town. It is a action-packed film. Kind of defies some logic, but it's still a good time in your house or in the theater. If you grab a friend, if I watched it with you, Jordan, in the theater, we would have had a ball. It was just a standard paint-by-numbers action film. Redemption of characters, trust of characters. The only thing I did not like about the whole film is that the ending kind of like just stopped. And I was thinking, well, what's going to happen now to these two characters? I just wanted a little bit more of a nugget for it. It's on HBO Max if you really want to get on it right away. I gave it 3.5. I'm in a 3.5 kind of mood, it seems, this week. But I so far, Angelina Jolie's performance is actually pretty good. The reason why I think the box office kind of suffered on this one, it is being released again at home, where people don't need to go off and watch it in the theater, whereas Spiral is not. So I just think that this is a thing for Angelina. It was a good film. Go out and get it to where you can get it while you can.
I zoned out. Would you rate it?
3.5.
Another 3.5. There's a good chance I'll have this ready for you by next week. So I will check it out.
Yeah. So the next film we're going to talk about is it's called, well, I love this movie, by the way. I just like the credits of it. Money Plane, a professional thief. A professional thief with $40 million in debt, jeez Louise, and his family's life is on the line, must commit to one final heist, rob a futuristic airborne casino filled with the world's most dangerous criminals. This has Adam Copeland, Kelsey Grammer, Thomas Jan, Andrew Lawrence, Joey Lawrence, Denise Richards, and Matthew Lawrence, because it is directed by, I believe, Matthew Lawrence as well. So
Andrew directed it.
I can't remember which one Lawrence, but there's so many Lawrences. But Kelsey, I think, steals the show in this one. But what is your thoughts on this? Because I reviewed it earlier this year or last, but you jumped on board. What do you got?
So this has actually been in the vault for me for a little while here. I've had this ready for a couple of weeks, and then there's just better things to talk about. And the reason why it's been bumped up now is because Honest Trailers actually, for some reason, decided to make an honest trailer about this. So I figured it's a timely movie. Actually, I had to bump it up, and it finally made the show. There's a good chance I was just never going to talk about this because there's just other things to talk about. This movie sucks. Kelsey Grammer's kind of fun. Him and Thomas Jane, you both tell they were filmed probably on location when they had time. There's even a fun sequence where Thomas Jane flies a drone to kill people, and I was like, I bet you that's written for him, but he's like, yeah, I'm not available Thursday for all these action scenes, and it will cost you more. Edge, Adam Copeland is wasted. He's stuck in the cockpit for half the movie. Like the biggest guy on the poster gets none of the fun for the longest time. The dialogue's so on the nose and just bad, and the budget shows. You know what I mean? When they're leaving the plane, and it's not good. I don't know. What did you give it?
I think I gave it like two snowflakes, just because
nice.
I was being very nice. I was very generous because I did like Kelsey Grammer, and I just loved the way he delivered his lines. He was over the top, and he needed to be in this film.
Yeah, he's the best part. He's the only kind of watchable part. Like if you want to watch a scene evil, Kelsey Grammer, go ahead. But other than that, I'm giving it 1.5, and even I feel like I might be being nice here in a pretty dud of a movie. So
yeah, it wasn't the greatest, but I had so much fun watching Kelsey. And you are correct. The Honest Trailer, if you get a chance to watch that, by God, watch it. It is hilarious as hell. So
yes, check that one out. We're going over now to the flicks of the Netflix. Another one I missed out on, although I'll be talking a cartoon here in a second. First, we're talking the Mitchells versus the Machines. The Mitchells must come together to save one another and the planet. With a new technological revolution, when the world's electronics come to life to start staging an uprising. This stars the voices of Danny McBride, Maya Rudolph. Oh, I love that couple.
Yeah.
Abby Jacobson, Olivia Colman, Eric Andre, and Doug the Pug. I know one of my nieces anyway, Aria, gives us a big old thumbs up. What did you say?
Brother, it starts a little rocky in my head, because I'm not used to what they're going with here, for a second. But you know, it gets you as it goes along. It starts out as a girl who's going to college. Her father and her used to be very, chummy, as you can see in the picture if you're watching. And then as she gets older, she becomes into her own little world where she makes her own little movies and stuff. And her and her father just drift apart for some unknown reason, and so they both are basically always antagonistic toward each other. Maya Rudolph he plays the mom, who's does a spectacular job of trying to keep these two from exploding throughout the film. But I found it was very endearing as the film moved on. It has a different tone. You have these robots, kind of like these Google robots or whatever you already have that are on your phone. The assistants are taking over now, and so the at the end of the day, basically, they have this one thing they have to get away from, but at the same time they can't run away from each other. And so basically the father and the mother and the daughter and the son and everybody basically have to get along, and then they find that they truly have always liked each other. They just kind of grew apart within the household, them always be on their phones and stuff like that, and just not communicating the way they should be as a family. And it kind of, I'm gonna be honest, man, it got a tear in my eye, between some of the scenes, and it made me laugh. It was just a well done film, pushed back. It was supposed to come out last year. It came out earlier this year, in 2021. Because of the pandemic, and so they just sold it to Netflix, and Sony did, just to make the money back. But it turned out to be a glorious investment on Netflix's behalf. I can't think of anything else better to watch with your family. If you're going to look for a family movie night, this is one of those. 4 snowflakes, I give it, easily. Like I said, it takes a little bit of time to warm up to you, because I'm trying to figure out what kind of movie this is going to go. I knew what the premise was, but I didn't know how in depth it would get. It's probably one of the better animated films that have come down the pike in a long time.
Very, very good to hear. But did you flag it yet?
4. I gave it 4.
Very nice, very nice. Between everything I've heard now, it's one thing that has been bumped up on my not radar, but bumped up on my watch list. So that's good to hear.
Well, from one animated film to another, it's the sequel, The Croods: A New Age. Searching for a safe habitat, the prehistoric Crude family discovers an idyllic walled-in paradise that meets all of its needs. Unfortunately, they must also learn to live with the Bettermans, a family that's a couple of steps above the Crudes on the evolutionary ladder. This has
Who's in this movie?
This is starring our favorite friend of the show and awesome actor Nicolas Cage, along with Jesus Christ, Ryan Reynolds. I was about to say Ryan Williams for some reason. Ryan Reynolds, Emma Stone, Peter Dinklage, Catherine Kenner, Leslie Mann, Clark Duke, and the late Cloris Leachman are in this. Is this as good as the first Crude film that came out moons ago, it seems?
It has been a while. Yes, this is definitely a sequel that has been in the works for a while here. Short answer, no, in my opinion. So as you just mentioned, with Mitchell's versus the Machine and things like Soul and Onward here, there's usually a lot of times in these movies a little more under the skin here. And while this is not as bad as like, oh, I don't know, Adam's Family or just throw it against the wall, the weird Will Smith Bird one. It is mostly there to be very colorful with some laughs. There's not a whole lot deeper meaning here. But I don't mean to totally narc on that. You don't always need that. I think also to a degree, it is very vibrant here. You're welcome to this kind of new world here. Everyone's on point. Nicolas Cage is very funny in this. And also I love the newcomers here kind of steal the show. Peter Dinklage as the other father here, who's always one upping them and trying to teach him new ways. Clark Duke has a funny segment where he's always watching the window as kind of his tablet. It's funny here, and then of course the great old Cloris Leachman also gets some laughs as well here too. So okay, great hearing her voice again as well. So it's bright, it's colorful, it's fun. Ultimately probably also a little forgettable here, and also one of those movies too that has a very kind of bloated long action scene to wrap things up, because you got to do that to a degree. So I'm still going to give it 3 stars, enough to recommend it. I laughed enough and it held me enough, but no more than that. It's definitely, it's not one of your top level animations, but it could definitely be way worse as well. What a review. It could be worse.
It could be worse, but but it's still a good family night. If you're looking for something to do with the kids, it's something to do.
Alrighty, here continuing on now with me. We got half brothers. Renato, a successful Mexican aviation executive, is shocked to discover he has an American half brother he has never knew about, the free spirited Asher. The two very different half brothers are forced on a road trip together, masterminded by their ailing father, tracing the path he took as an immigrant from Mexico to America. This stars Luis Mendez, Conan Del Rio, and Juan Espinoza. So this is another one that actually did have a brief theatrical run earlier this year. Kind of came out of nowhere with mostly actors I think I wasn't too familiar with here. Finally checked it out. Speaking of Tyler Perry, I knew I was going to mention Tyler Perry this episode, not even knowing he was in that Angelina Jolie movie, or forgetting that he was in it. Because this reminds me, unfortunately, for me when I say unfortunately, because I'm not a Tyler Perry, his movies anyway. I think he's actually a good character actor, but his movies I think are always too all over the place, and this is a great example of that. This movie's trying to be a wacky comedy. And then at the other time, now all of a sudden trying to too hard pull on your heartstrings and too hard trying to get you to care. And then going back to, like Asher, the brother, unfortunately, is just kind of grating and annoying. And it's also a very contrived story. Why it's one of those movies that easily, this should have been solved in 20 minutes, the problem, but they got to now go to point C to point D to point E. And it unfortunately doesn't always equal up, especially like I said, the laughs. I think I laughed once or twice, and I enjoyed the father's story. I enjoyed the drama part of it. If I could chalk that part up, the father was also a great actor. My favorite part, as you see him kind of with the smoky face and whatnot. So 2.5. It's right in the middle. Unfortunately, not a recommendation though at the end of the day for me here. Half brothers.
Yeah, it seemed like it was like basically a forced road trip, buddy road trip that just doesn't seem to want to take off. So
yeah, you don't want to go on the road trip.
Okay. So the next film is you saw this alone, my songbird, and that's what we're calling it, the Songbird. That's the name of the movie. During a pandemic lockdown, Nico, a strapping young man with a rare immunity, must overcome martial law, murderers, vigilantes, and a powerful family to reunite with his love, Sarah. This shows KJ Apa, Sophia Carson, Peter Stormare, Demi Moore, Bradley Whitford, Alexandra Daddario, and probably is a better way to say that, and Paul Daddario, there we are, thank you, and Paul Walter Hauser. Now tell me, is this a musical?
By God, I wish it was. I mean, maybe I would have at least found something to hum. Uh, this is getting through. This is getting pretty trashed. And I was trying to be with it for the first few minutes, and then it just. First of all, what a horrible idea, in my opinion. Hey, are you bummed by this lockdown and this coronavirus? Watch a movie where it's what if things got worse. Watch a movie where it's even more depressing and and just filled with. I mean, first of all, there's plot holes I can tell you about too that don't completely add up. The ending sucks. Even the side stories. There's a whole side story with Dodorio, and she's with Woodford, and Hauser's kind of watching her, and you can tell that there was maybe a bigger story here, and it's just kind of disheveled. Um, it is kind of a mess. It looks good. I actually think the director and the DP have a shot to do something else, but just as a movie, it kind of fell apart for me, and most people I feel in general here. It is unfortunately the second movie I'm giving 1.5 stars to this week. So yeah, Songbird, skip this bird, kill this bird.
You've had a rough week of movies, my friend. Let me tell you what. But I saw Michael Bay's name, and that's an automatic check mark to skip. So
And he's just a producer or whatever, but even that's not a good sign necessarily.
no, absolutely. So for our final film, you're going to bring us home in this final film here.
We're going back to Netflix, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully, we'll end on a little bit of a higher note. I know this guy, my co-host, loves Zack Snyder. It's Army of the Dead. After a zombie outbreak in Las Vegas, a group of mercenaries takes the ultimate gamble by venturing into the quarantine zone for the greatest heist ever. This stars Dave Bautista, Ella Purnell, Amari Hardwick, Matthias Schweighöfer. I'm sorry, now I know I killed that name.
I couldn't come up with it either, so good luck.
Garrett Dillahunt, Tig Notaro, Hiroki Sanada, Raul Castillo, and Anade Rivera. So we both checked this out. I actually finished this not too long ago here. I've been waiting for it because I've enjoyed the cast. Well, I enjoyed Batista, not necessarily the cast, although I did enjoy the cast at the end of the day. What did you think of this movie?
I support Batista. I still support Batista. I thought this was a great film for him. Believe it or not, as much as I am a villain of Zack Snyder. I'm his unheard of nemesis. I kind of enjoyed this film a lot more than I thought I would, and it's just because of Dave Bautista and the connection that you can draw from him is easily obtainable. I mean, literally, the man he just oozes machismo and charisma at the same time, and you just want to be on his team no matter what happens. I've been reading other things with Tig, being brought in after the fact, being superimposed over the comedian, what was his name?
Tina Taro, who's pretty good in this. She replaced Chris D'Elia, and all her scenes she was green screened into it because they had to pull the old Kevin Spacey on it.
Yeah. And, to this day, Dave Bautista has not met Tig yet, but he can't wait, I guess. To me, it was a straightforward heist film, which you really can't mess up. Again, I still think you could have shaved a few minutes off. Snyder loves his long cuts, and he loves his slow-mo, which we've seen a few times in this one as well. So that's the really only sticking points that I have with the film altogether. I think Batista does it, and he holds the film and the cast to a high standard. I loved Matif, I'm sorry, Matthis, the German Matthis, the safecracker.
The safecracker, yeah, he's good.
Yeah, and Omar Hardwick. I thought those two guys. I would have loved to see them, do more, or possibly. I'm not spoiling the film. I don't want to talk about it, but I do want to. I wish I could have seen more with them too. If they would have played everything right, who knows? But I have to say though, I enjoyed this zombie caper, and that's all it was. It was like Ocean's 11 with zombies, and that's how I look at it. And there might have been a little bit of a Romeo Juliet love theme going on. But what are you thinking on this before we give it any shots?
I'm thinking to where the Romeo and Juliet love thing came in. Anywho,
The two zombies, the main zombies love each other. You know, it's like
oh,
a
but Romeo
tragedy.
and Juliet made me. Oh, okay, tragic. Okay, I went with like the opposing families, and I'm like, where's the family element that I'm missing? Sorry, all right, I got you now. I think kind of, sort of.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun plot. They got to go back into the quarantine zone, because there's cash just sitting there. And it is a fun little ensemble here. You know what I mean? There's some fun stuff with the Victoria Castillo, who's got the fun hair. I love the safecracker. Would like to have seen more of Amari Hardwick. I felt like that was almost underdeveloped, despite, like you said, which I agree with, a little too long, a little bloated, 2.5 hours. I'm not 100% sure what I would have shaved off, but you do feel the 2.5 hours. You're going through. You're like, I'm only an hour and a half in. All right. And I got a whole nother hour to go. And you finally do, if you're looking for a lot of zombie stuff too, you don't really get it that last 30, 40 minutes. And then it goes down. But it doesn't always happen all at once. Just like Zombieland too, some irregularities with the zombies. For some are super hard to kill, some aren't.
Well, there's rules. I guess they go over the rules a little bit, but again, you and I would not survive these apocalypse. I don't care what they say.
There's even one scene where they're in hibernation and they gotta shimmy through them and not touch them. And I'm like, God damn it, I'd be dead right there. I'd be like, guys, I need a wider gap. Can we get a wider gap?
That's what I would be. I was saying the same exact thing, but I was watching. I was like, son of a bitch. I know it's just big enough for Batista, but he's still kind of narrow.
Yeah, he's a big boy, and I've always said that. If I ever see a vast zombie, just I'm out. I'm lasting.
I'll double tap myself. Thank you.
This is fun though. I'm gonna almost repeat the review of Saw. I feel like this. I'm not gonna give it a glowing review, but I feel like it checks off the list here. You know what I mean? You got a couple of good laughs. You got your violence. It's very bloody. Again, speaking of Zombieland, very reminiscent opening sequence, like where it's during the opening credits, where it's basically showing you different people die in the opening credits from like the.
Oh yes,
right?
Yes.
Super like Zombieland. Because it's fun opening credits, but we've seen it.
Yeah.
But it's fun. Batista, big shout out to him, man. He's been in some great supporting roles. Me and you always mentioned freaking Blade Runner. Even something like, what was that, Hotel Artemis, which wasn't very good, but he's fun. Yeah. You know what I mean? And he leads it here. He's got a couple of moments that he's got to sell his character on, outside of the violence, and you're with it. You know what I mean? I don't love the ending. The final couple minutes, I feel also like Zack Snyder, just like the Snyder cut of the Justice League. I was like, you could have ended it already. You didn't need this scene.
You don't need to. You know what? The worst part is he bums you out every time. So it's nothing ever happy. What the hell's wrong with you? Get some happiness in the world.
I was gonna say that for off camera, but it's also I have a couple problems with it. Yeah, so it's fun though, man. I'm just giving it a solid 3. I can't give it any more. So that's what I'm going with.
I'm God, it pained me to actually have to do this. I gave it higher than you, not too high, 3.5. And
lover.
I am not a Snyder lover. I did it because I love the performance of Dave Bautista, and I thought the reason why it even made me enjoy the show was his performance. Plain and simple. That's how that worked for me. And Omar even though she kind of, was a little disjointed, but even Mathis, his performance, I've never seen him before in a film. So that was a good introduction for me. So I thought those performances alone could give me that extra half. I didn't want to give it that 3.5. I felt really dirty doing it, but I did it. So there you go, kids. Sometimes it's performance, it's not director. Though it could have been better had, like you said, shaved about 20 minutes off. We would have been fine, probably. So 3.5.
So let's go do a quick review here now of the reviews of the week. Both of us say go check out Spiral from the Book of Saw. Gave it a positive review. Dutch also recommends Those Who Wish Me Dead. Neither one of us can recommend Money Plane. Watch Honest trailer. You get enough from that trailer. It's not a movie you need to sit through. Mitchell vs. the Machines, high praise by him. That's probably your pick of the week.
It is the highest rated pick of the week. Yes, we'll go with the pick of the week with that.
I also recommend, you know what I mean, on a slightly lesser level, The Crew is a New Age. Not quite a recommendation for Half Brothers. Definitely not a recommendation for Songbird. And then both of a recommendation for Army of the Dead. If I had to pick a pick of the week, it's pretty much a tie between Army of the Dead and Spiral. Like I said, they're pretty much right on the same level of not perfect, but definitely a passable fun time. Maybe I'll go with Army as a slight overture because I think it's a little more fun throughout. Now we're going over to some TV talk here, man. First of all, so tell me about this first one because I'm intrigued just from watching the trailer now.
This show, my cousin and I, we were looking for something to watch when I was up visiting, and it's over on HBO Max. That damn Michael Che, and it is a one that just basically takes the piss of everything in his life. Basically, you know, he talks about cops, he talks about his friends coming out of prison, he talks about, you know, these different things, and there's sketch that goes along with these things. He talks just basically he's in I think the first episode is kind of funny. He gets trapped in an elevator in this building, and this woman, like, she's like saying, oh, you know, Black Lives Matter and all this other stuff, and then they go off and talk about cops. You know, the cops are saying, okay, everybody, you know, and there's a lot of sketch shows. It's stuff that Saturday Night Live would not probably air because it gets a little too edgy. Even though Lord Michael still has his claws all up in this. You know, as a producer, but I found it entertaining. I'm almost through with the season now, and I still find it fascinatingly funny. And this is a good way to showcase Michael Che in his creative talents as well. Something that we don't get to see enough of on Saturday Night Live, I believe. So go off and watch it. It's well worth watching that.
I'm intrigued. I'm not intrigued by this, so tell me if I'm wrong.
We're going to talk about the Upshaws over there on Netflix. It's actually one of the top-rated new Netflix shows out there on Netflix.
That means nothing.
It means that a lot of people are watching it, so that means there's going to be a season 2. There's something about Mike Epps that just does not entertain me at all. Everyone else kind of pulls their weight in this show, but Mike Epps. And this is one of his productions. So, you know, like I say, Kim Fields who played Tootie, if you want to really go old school, Tootie on, Facts of Life. You know, Wanda Sykes. Of course, she was probably in that other one with Queen Latifah, whatever that one show was. I can't remember names. But
Different World?
No, that's that's the Cosby spinoff. But yeah, you know, Wanda Sykes, she's funny. The kids have some talent in this. And it's just, you know, like I say, man, the only thing that really drags me down when I've watched 5 episodes of the show, almost the whole season, really. And I don't know if I want to finish it, but I'm going to continue to watch it. You know, maybe it gets better, but like I said, Mike Epps. Omar Epps is a better actor, by the way. But Mike Epps.
More intrigued if it was Omar Epps.
I would be too. I'll be honest. But the supporting cast on the show is pretty funny. But I think again, he's the only dead weight, and if you could recast him, you'd probably be fine. But go ahead and watch it though, if you want to watch it. But I can't recommend at all because of that.
Dear producer Mike Epps, can you replace the lead in your new show?
Can you reproduce yourself? Well, you know what, though? I didn't like that one movie he came out with either. You didn't like that one either. What was the name of that one? You went to watch it by yourself.
Oh, God, Meet the Blacks, one of the worst movies of the year.
Yeah, and he just doesn't – he has no charisma whatsoever. The only time he was ever funny was in Friday. Friday, he was funny.
I think it depends. Because you know what, also, too, I would actually argue –
maybe less is more.
He's an okay character actor too. Like when he's just trying to be a cop or like a person, you know what I mean? Then maybe a lead. Yeah, I can maybe see that. I can't think of too many. I hate All About the Benjamins with him and Ice Cube. That's another one I'm not a fan of.
And I didn't even like his remake of Uncle Buck.
I think I saw an episode or 2.
I think that's as long as it lasted, so you were probably right on the button.
I saw the whole series.
Yeah, you probably saw the whole series. I didn't like the what he brought. Everyone else on the cast, fine. again, it's just something about Mike Epps that I can't get around. Um, what's next up on our list here?
Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous season 3, and wow, time has flown. I feel like you just reviewed season 1.
Absolutely, it just keeps coming, and this time the kids are chased after the creator of most of the dinos in this film. We also get to see brand new dinosaurs we have not explored. We get to see a little bit more of a backstory on a few of the other characters, but they also get to drive around in a yacht. That's the big thing on this one. I mean, the big thing is they get to drive around on a big yacht. And it's like, again, a pretty good series. It didn't leave me wanting, for the next season. But there's got to be one more because they foreshadowed it. So, but again, it's still fun for the kids. It's a little frightening for the young ones, I would say, still, because there is death on this that you see on screen, not just for dinosaurs, but for some humans. But it's always adults who die. So if you're a child and if you like to see adults die, then that's fine for you. But yeah, I enjoy it. It's on my watch list. I will watch it until they stop, I guess. I didn't realize I loved Jurassic World, Jurassic Park so much, Jordan.
Very nice, very nice. We're going from the flicks of Ned over to Roku. Actually, we don't often talk about their lovely little Rokus, but Roku recently required some Roku originals, and I only say that because, well, it's stuff that was on Quibi. In case you didn't, weren't a Quibi subscriber for those 3 weeks. All those shows are now currently on the Roku, and that includes 3 of them we're going to talk about here. 2 of them from me. One from Dutch here. First, the one I was excited about just because it's actually the 2 I'm talking about were both were just continuations actually of shows that were already on back in the day. First, Reno 911. The entire cast is back here, and literally for the first time ever, I believe, because 2 of them I think came in the last couple seasons when they replaced 2 other cast members who I thought they killed off. They don't explain that. Everyone's just back. And actually, I quite enjoyed it here. The last couple of seasons, I could see it becoming a little repetitive and it was trailing off, but there's been several times that I've enjoyed this here. And by the way, every episode 6 to like 9 minutes usually. You know what I mean? Everything is very quick and done here on the Roku originals. Some cast members, I don't know if it's because based on filming, definitely used more than others here. I mean, I've seen Carlos Ozraki maybe have 5 words so far, and I'm like 8 out of 10 episodes.
Wow.
So I don't know if he just wasn't around that much. He's in the meetings, but very rarely on the street. Maybe he got cut out. I don't know. Just all kind of guesses for me as to why some are in it a lot more than others. But I'm laughing. I'm having a good time here. Good seeing the cast back up. It's a very easy show to kind of pick up and continue, and that's what they do. It just starts right off.
Yes, that's good to hear because I was going to check that out first, but then I went with my show.
There's a great I forgot, it's a couple in a great continuous shot that I just thought was really, really well done. Speaking of reboots, remakes, Ashton Kutcher's not here, but Chance the Rapper's here for Punk'd, where he's finding celebrity friends here, elaborate skits. The one with the kids from Blackish, there's a big Ferris wheel accident. He's freaking Megan the Stallion with a big monkey, Machine Gun Kelly, amongst others. Those were the only 3 I watched because everyone else I could not care about. Personally, if I don't care about the guest, I'm not going to watch the show to a degree. So I watched Machine Gun Kelly, Kid from Blackish, and I only watched Megan Thee Stallion because it was the first one. I wanted to watch the first one. These are kind of perfect links. You know what I mean? This is like, 10 more minutes. I don't know if I would have been into them, but they're short, they're chunks. You know what I mean? They cut down to the gritty parts of it here. And the Machine Gun Kelly one's pretty funny. He walks in on an old couple having sex and somehow gets roped in, and the daughter shows up, and they really go for it and whatnot. And even the kids with the Blackish watching people dangle from a Ferris wheel is there. And so that's another quick one, that's fun. So yeah, it is what it is. It's Punk'd. If you've seen it before, you'll know whether or not you're into it. You got one too that I will definitely see as well, probably within the week.
The one that I covered on Roku was Die Hard with Kevin Hart, John Travolta, Natalie Emmanuel, and Jean Reno. And remember, you and I discovered that Josh Hartnett was still alive when we watched Wrath of Man. He's also in this one as well. So, I was like, wow, good for Josh Hartnett all of a sudden showing up on our show, in our radar finally. Basically, Kevin Hart is tired of being a sidekick to The Rock. Apparently, he's been in now supposedly 16 different movies, but as The Rock's sidekick, and he thinks he can carry an action film. So what does he do? He goes to the action school. I can't remember his name. John Travolta plays the Ron Wilcox Action Star School, and so John Travolta has to teach Kevin Hart how to be an action star. And the plot thickens from there as it moves along. And like you say, with these episodes, they're about 7 minutes long. I think the longest one on this one was maybe 10, which, kind of pushed, I guess, the limits of Quibi back then. But yeah, and, just to see him in a different role, even though he's still comedic, I thought it was pretty good. It has a good twist. I've watched all the episodes. I watched them all actually before we shot tonight. So, but yeah, I enjoyed it. So something to look over there at the Roku channel for that as well. Die Hard.
Yeah, recommendation. I know my brother said he enjoyed that one. I'll watch it. They're great. Things to fall asleep to. Also, is my recommendation because they're great fluffers. As you try to fall asleep.
Yeah, I was thinking I was gonna watch one because I was waiting, for something, and then I was like, no, I want to watch more, because I started getting into it. So that's the problem. If it's something like the Punked episode, that's something just to fill the void until something else comes along, probably. But this one
has good stuff on there too. I might be watching some more in the next week. Got Will Forte's got a show. There's a WWE one. There's the World's Most Dangerous Game. There's Fugitive. Yeah. So they've got a few of them on there.
Yeah, I think Ron Funches has one on there too, supposedly. So it'll be interesting to see. Because he was very happy.
Speaking of things I think we should review next week, what's on Hulu?
What's on Hulu?
MODOK.
Oh yes, I almost watched that tonight, but I did not have enough time to sit in. One show that we'll talk about as well. I don't know if we talked about was The Bad Batch. Have we talked about that yet?
No.
Okay, so we'll talk about that next week along with MODOK. So that'll be something that I'm enjoying right now. The Bad Batch over there on Disney Plus. So, but we'll talk more about that next week. So
he will.
Well, I will, but if you like animated, watch it. So here's our top 10. I came up with a top 10 this week. And again, it was a controversial top 10 for me because I thought we did these, but I think what we've done is we've done similar type movies that come into these plays. You know how that works, where, we talk about the top 10 Tom Hanks films we talked about or something. And some of these movies always flutter in, it's almost like my Joe versus the Volcano. How many times could I say that in this show? Over the 85 episodes we've had, I probably said it over 90 times in this show.
So I have the list of what we've done. I do not have war. So if we did it, it's on a very early episode. I didn't track.
Well, that's all right, and no one tracked us then either. So that's fine. But yeah, and plus it's Memorial Day coming up. So I thought war sounds pretty good.
See, I thought you did it because we watched Army of the Dead and you're like, Army, let's do war movies.
No. I was thinking more cerebral, just in case unless we take the Memorial Day weekend off, so then we have a chance to just slide this in for Memorial Day, so that's how that works. So just in case we take next week off.
War. Good God, y'all, what is it good for? Well, making a top 10.
Absolutely nothing. Oh, is it? Okay. I was just list. Okay, fine. So let me. Do you want to start it this week?
I'll start it because I have a reason I want to start it.
Oh, okay. Go for it. Sorry.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the top 10 war films brought to you by a show about shows from Dutch and JPO. My honorable mentions here for you are Life is Beautiful, The Five Bloods, Hotel Rwanda, American Sniper, and Zero Dark Authority. Those are right on the outside of the list. My number 10, though, maybe maybe for once I'll be the old school guy. Because my number 10, we're going all the way to the 60s, my friend. And we're going to a little known actor named Michael Caine. That's right, we're going to talk Zulu. Have you ever seen Zulu, Dutch?
Yes, I have, sir. Back in the day,
Uh,
but it's not on my list. So, did you? How
I,
did you?
want,
How did you like this film?
I wanted to shout it out, man. This is something my mom showed me early on. Very grand. Obviously see that they had to hire a lot of actors here. Interesting war too. War that's on, I think, talked about a hell of a lot too much here. Like you said, you got some Michael Caine in this here, and this is a really, I thought, a fascinating film here, and definitely another view. One of the first views of war, and oops, I think that might have been a boob. I apologize to the kids watching. So,
This is a sanctioned of trailer, so it's fine.
evidently, yeah. But yeah, I thought Zulu. I want to put that on the list. Show that some love here. So Zulu clocks in at number 10.
Okay. Well, my number, my honorable mentions are as follows: Tora Tora Tora, uh, Platoon, Beast of No Nation, and this is the one that's controversial in my list. Edge of Tomorrow. It's the alien battlefield stuff, but Tora Tora Tora. If you ever get a chance to watch that, it's a long film, and it's all about Pearl Harbor. So if you want to go with my number 10, which we are going to go with, my number 10, uh, are they the Bickersons? I like the Bickersons. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then you need to watch MASH. Yes, the original MASH, Robert Altman film. Uh, Fabulous movie. You have Donald Sutherland, you have Elliot Gould, and it's just a great funny before its time show. And the suicide is painless. Is the theme song. Basically, is what and it's set in the Korean War times, and it's just a funny little film, and it was just what it is. It's just a good camp, and it also spun off the big show with Alan Alda, MASH, that lasted for a decade or more. So MASH is my number 10.
Very nice. Good, a good old match. Coming in and my number 9 now, going to Catherine Bigelow. She was mentioned on the honorable mentions. Going to mention now here at number 9, Hurt Locker, year 2008. They had done some stuff before, but to me, I think to a lot of people, this really put also Anthony Mackie and Jeremy Renner on the map here. Again, a different, kind of view of a certain section of the unit, the bomb squad and whatnot, if you will. Here, some great tense moments in this as well. Kind of like Saving Private Ryan too. You get a couple actors like Ralph Fiennes, and also are kind of inserted into this for a couple scenes here and there. Great little sideline too of Renner and his relationship with one of the kids, and also too about how that both the pull to leave the war, and then sometimes how the war can't quite leave you, if you will, as well. And really interesting ending as well. Talking about the endings being kind of earlier. I really like the ending of this one. So Hurt Locker comes in at my number 9.
Well, coming in at my number 9 is a 1987 Stanley Kubrick film called Full Metal Jacket with Matthew Modine, Vincent D'Onofrio, and R. Lee Emery, just to name a few in this film. Very good movie. First time I was ever, I think, brought up, or took notice to D'Onofrio as an actor. And that's that time while they're in the barracks, and how they treated him during that period of time was just unbelievable, and just gripping film done by everything. And just Emery is just what he is as a hell of a damn talent. And it's just a good film. It just talks about the stuff that's taking place during Vietnam, and the atrocities that did take place on some levels. I'm not saying that everything was bad, but it wasn't a picnic for either side, and that's what they explore, the humanities portion of that. So yes, Stanley Kubrick's Full Metal Jacket is my number 9.
Very nice. So, as I said to you off air, I can't get mad at all, of course, if Edge of Tomorrow. It's a supernatural war movie, but I'm gonna go now with my number 8. It's a comedy war movie. I had to show some love to good old Jojo Rabbit. I love this name from Taika Waititi. And a great ensemble cast here. So much good stuff here. ScarJo, I think even she turned you on this movie because you never gave ScarJo the credit she deserves, and then I think you had to after this movie. And again, just some great moments with Sam Rockwell. Another solid movie from beginning to end here with the heart, the humor, a good commentary as well here, a different view, something I've been meaning to rewatch as well. So I just want to show some love to Jojo Rabbit.
And we may speak about that a little later in this countdown on my end. So there you go, my friend. There you go. Coming in at my number, what are we, number 8? Of all the bars in all the world, she had to come back into mind, or she came into mind, right? And how that scene goes, or something like that. You may not regret it. You know what I'm talking about. I'm awful with my Bohugart, but Casablanca is what I'm getting at. It is set in wartime, and basically it's just run at Rick's bar. And the Nazis are in Morocco, I believe, or Monaco, wherever this is. I can't believe where they're Casablanca, I guess. So they are there, and it's just a night at Rick's, and how Ingrid Bergman does show back up into his life, and and she really was in love with him, and he was in love with her, but it's just a great love story during a topsy-turvy, awful time of life. And so I thought that, to me, that was a good respite, and it's well worth the watch. It's one of your favorite films, I know. Yeah, you're allowed to say it. But yeah, Casablanca, number 8 on my list.
And all the pods and all the world, you had to come co-host in mine.
Yeah, I know. It was I just love that movie. Yes, I will stop to watch it if I see it.
Very nice there. I believe we're going on to number 7 here. Clint Eastwood went really hard into the war for 2006. Flags of Our Fathers, which I actually found a little underrated. I thought it was a good movie here, but I'm talking Letters from Iwo Jima, which came out that year as well from Clint Eastwood. Again, it's just really well told, man. It truly, obviously, it's funny. As a kid, you're very much like kind of grown with the sense of, at least I was like, oh, okay, we're good, they're bad, and then obviously you see everyone's just kind of put into a bad situation here, and there isn't good or bad. There's two sides to every story, and then to a war as well, and it's beautifully shot, beautifully acted here. I think this is why this one was really the one that kind of tugged people's heartstrings and whatnot, and really ruled people's imaginations. Letters from Iwo Jima.
That's a good choice, sir. That really is. I do like it. It's a good viewpoint, as you brought up. My number 7 is a most recent. It was also an Academy Award nominee. 1917. Nolan's. It was Nolan, right? His. No, who was that? Rami, right? Rami?
Maybe.
Sam Raimi, I think. Not Sam Raimi. It's Rami.
Maybe.
I can't remember. Yes, the Skyfall's director. We'll just say that. But yeah, this is his, shot. Sam Mendes. I'm sorry. Jeez, I'm awful with names, as you know. Thank you for piecing it all together for the fine folks at home. But Sam Mendes, one shot, camera take. It's just unbelievably beautifully shot. I've watched it now, I think 4 times in my life so far. It's just such a good story in a time that, we don't really get to know a lot about this time. The World War I era. We don't get to really know much about that. And to see, these soldiers and this time frame is just and brought to life, really was a magnificent thing to see. So that's what number 7 is, 1917.
Very nice. All I can say is that quit ruining my list with all your picks. Okay. Coming in my number 6 here. Maybe. I know for some reason you're not as big of a fan as I am. My favorite Tarantino flick, Inglourious Bastards. a few years ago, 2009 here. This is a film unlike Army of the Dead. Give me another 30, 40. Give me a little bit more about this ragtag group here. This is where Christoph Waltz walked our way into I don't know, our hearts or our fears or whatever it is, but a great scene with him here. One of those great just dialogue scenes where
The milk.
you're in your chair and you're just you're trying to like act along with him and hope that things go good. And another great scene later on, one of the first times Fastbender kind of I think popped up on a lot of people's radars as well here. BJ, not really old BJ Novak, but also the best thing Eli Roth's ever done as the bear. And yeah, I love this film here. So shout out to Inglorious Bastards. What you got next, Bastard?
I did like the opening milk scene. That was pretty good. My number 6, I don't know if it's on yours, but it's on mine. It's an oldie but a goodie in my heart. The Bridge on the River Kwai. Yes, The Bridge on the River Kwai. I think it's on everybody's war list, right? This
Everybody
film,
but mine.
yeah, it is a oldie but a goodie. I can't remember when it was made. I think it was made
1957.
There you go. Way before I was ever built.
My 1964 movie. Good for you.
There you go. I'm going to beat it again, I think, from it. But yeah, it has William Holden and Sir Alec Guinness as well in this movie. And basically, it's based loose. Yes, Obi-Wan is in this one. Basically, it's based loosely on British POWs. Are forced to build a bridge for the Japanese captors. And what they do is they're going to plan on blowing the thing up to stop the run of supplies. So they have to build it to destroy it, and so that's what happens in this film. And it's just a good, it has that good catchy theme song too. I say, do 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 do. I don't know if you ever heard that. Do 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 do. Yeah. So anyway, Bridge over the River Kwai. My, I believe number 6. I think we're at, right?
Yes, sir. Well, now we're going on to number 5. We're in the top 5 war movies according to me and you. My number 5, 2014's Fury. David Ayer, what a director. And I mean that on multiple levels because his films have cracked the top 10 of the year and the worst 10 of the year. You can't predict this guy. But this one is great, man. It's shot well. Again, a great eclectic cast here. Some fun viewpoints here of the noob in the war and then the grizzled vets that are kind of going through it. And Brad Pitt, really great commanding performance here. Michael Pena, John Berthal, Shia LaBeouf here, all really leading into it as well. What makes this thing work and goes to that next level here.
Don't forget Morgan Lerman.
Well, yeah, I actually did forget his name. That's why I was saying the young kid. He's got a great viewpoint because, like I said, you got the other kind of grizzled vets, and then Logan Lerman, who's kind of under their tail here and learning, and you're kind of really hoping for him and whatnot, expecting the best. Or hoping for the best, but expecting the worst here. And really well made film here, 2014's Fury.
Good pick. Not on mine. See, we're not going to overlap anything. I think anytime soon on the last ones. My number 5. We're halfway through, as you know. This has Lee Marvin assembling probably the ragtaggest bunch of people you've ever met in the Dirty Dozen. Basically, they take a lot of guys who are, they bring them on the most dangerous mission because they don't care. It's almost like the early day Suicide Squad, where they bring in.
Who's Deadshot?
Well, I believe that may be Charles Bronson. Possibly, because he's pretty good with a gun. Ernest Borgnine also is in it, along with Kelly Solace and Jim Brown. So you have a lot of great actors that were a part of this. If you haven't seen it, go ahead and watch it. You won't, or if you have a family member who's older than me, Dirt, you go and ask them about it, and they'll recommend this movie as well. The Dirty Dozen, just a good, fun war film. It brings comedy as well. This is what I think Inglourious Bastards kind of tried to be as well, along with, like I said, there's a lot of things that everyone tries to be. And to me, that's one of the films that you try to emulate.
Very nice. Oh, you said there'd be no overlap. I mean, there's no overlap for that movie for sure. But I got to go back now talking about my number 4 here. And yes, you you walked into my pod and you talked about my movie, Casablanca. I've always had just great early filmmaking here, man. This is old timey Hollywood here. Bogart's on stage here, so good here. It is. Oh, I'm having stomach pains. I'm not. It's not the movie doing it. It's my stomach. But it's a really great movie here. It's a movie I recommend to anyone here. I work with a lot of young kids at my work. I work at a grocery store, and I try to tell them, "Watch Casablanca, kids. It's from the '40s." And they go, "They made movies that long ago." And I go, "I hate you. I hate you. You're so young, and I hate you so much." So don't be a dumb kid. Watch Casablanca.
There you go. My number 4, we might have something on our list because we have one other one later on. I know that for a fact. But my number 4 is Saving Private Ryan. To me, it still is the gold standard of the most recent. Of like, if you really want to get gritty and you want to get dirty, and an unflinching tale of how World War II was on the beaches. This is one of those films that shows that unflinching turn. It's that well acted, as we all know now, by Tom Hanks, and a very big bunch of cast to go with it, where they basically are now told to go save one man because his brothers have all passed, and so they just want to make sure that family survives and not just dies, for their family. So yeah, I think this film is an insta classic right from the start. I remember, I think I've told you in the past on this podcast, or I might have told you in person, me looking around in the theater during this, and people who were wearing old, Navy hats and stuff like that, World War II vets at the time who were there, were crying visibly during that opening scene. And it is a very touching scene, but then you see these people, either reliving it or knowing people who may have passed during that time. It's just a trouble, you just like, wow, it's an unflinching look. And so there you go. That's my pick. Saving Private Ryan at, I believe, number 4.
Nicely done, my friend. Nicely done. Good movie. Good movie. We'll talk about it. Time will tell. Coming in my number 4 here from the year 2016. Controversial director, but he did direct a good movie. Hacksaw Ridge here. Andrew Garfield's good old Spidey man. I love this thing. It was one of my favorite movies of the year. It's great looking, great scope, and just I love the story here. You know what I mean? It's just it's the good of war. It's the good of the humanity of war, rather, in it as well here. And I just Garfield in it, and the story of him and winning over everyone, his peers, and Vince Vaughn, and a great supporting character here as well. And a really, really well made film here. Hacksaw Ridge.
Yeah, I agree. I couldn't agree with you more. That does deserve a place in the list. My number 3 is a foreign one. It's always sometimes I always like to sneak my foreigns in here, but it's called Europa. I watched this. It's basically about I think it's loosely based again on truth, where a family is.
How do you spell that? I can't find the trailer.
EUROPA.
Okay.
Spell that twice.
Okay, continue to talk now.
Okay. See, this is production for us, buddy. You tell our producers that they shouldn't be speaking so loud in our earpiece piece for it. What we have is Europa. It's basically a Nazi, is a boy in Nazi Germany, basically tries to conceal that he's Jewish by joining the Nazi Hitler Youth. So they have a Jewish kid who gets separated from his brother, but the only way he can survive during the war is to take the other flag's colors, we'll say. And it is a unbelievably film that I watched, and I was just like, wow, this is a different take on the way that works. There's a scene where he's afraid that this girl will find out that he is circumcised. And of course, any German guy, I guess at that time, was not circumcised. But if you were Jewish, of course, you had your risks. And so what he did was to try to sew his foreskin back, basically by pulling his skin, and show, and you're like, oh my god, what he does to make sure that he doesn't get seen, in the showers and whatnot. But it's a very heartfelt film, and made a very big impact on me. That's why it's at number 3. Europa. Just a very good class film. If you get a chance to get to it, watch it when you get a chance.
Coming in now, we're in final 2 here. My number 2, you talked about earlier, the most recent film I believe on my list, 1917, from Sam Raimi. I think you said from Sam Mendes. I thought this thing was just from beginning to end. The original pairing of the two boys to the very end, to the quiet moments of him listening to the song, the visuals of this here, it looks like it's a one shot for the most part here. That adds to it a little bit here, but just what a film! It's something that needed to be seen in theaters here. Completely held me from beginning to end. I loved it. Maybe my favorite film of that year, 1917.
Yeah, and I still remember I went to watch it first, and I promised you if I liked it, I'd go watch it again. And we did watch it together.
Yes.
And I remember I just looked over at you, during that film, and your eyes were just as wide as saucers and enjoying it. And you were taking it.
I was gonna joke and say, like, I don't care how tired I was. That movie kept me awake in a good way.
Like I said, your eyes were wide as saucers, and then just breathing it in, and it made me feel good as just a moviegoer. Yes, I was
on that journey.
That I was on the first time, and I was on it again with you. So it was a fun time. My second one is one that you talked about earlier. And that is TW's, because I can't ever say his whole name, but TW's Jojo Rabbit. Yes, Jojo Rabbit. It made it to my number 2. It's probably still the most endearing coming of age Nazi film I guess you could ever have, and truly just feel what it would be like if you were only told one thing growing up, that Hitler was the man, and you're having to do nothing but to like him, and you're always told that the Jewish are very bad for you as well. And so this takes that little kid Jojo, and he has that good friendship that he discovers later, to all that stuff about being a Nazi is just hogwash. And again, when I think we were watching it together when this, I believe, and we saw Scarjo's character, and I was like, wow, it took the breath out of me. What happens to her character in that film, but she is just, to me, it was one of her best performances I've ever watched, and she was nominated for it, so it was well deserved. So yeah, that film to me has some great performances, great comedic timings, as well. But yeah, it's well worth the watch. If anyone has not seen this, get it. Why haven't you? It's well worth the watch, and it's well worth your time to do so.
All right, drum roll, please. My number 1, and hey, I said it before. You got to it before I could. You said it's a gold standard, in my opinion. It's a gold standard in general. Saving Private Ryan here. This thing, I think, gives you about almost everything you could want in a war film. First of all, the grand opening sequence here of them storming the beach. Literally, not even knowing we're doing this list, I saw it within the last week. Just that sequence here, I almost continued on the whole movie, despite it being a lengthy but worthy movie. I almost continued it on. A great ensemble cast here. Again, another great sign of this up-and-comer Matt Damon. Makes you wish guys like Vin Diesel would stick to stuff like this maybe a little bit more. He's good in it. Barry Pepper's great. Adam Goldberg, Jeremy Davies, and then even, like I said kind of before, with Hurt Locker, some sprinkled in other, actors too, every time they go from one section to another. Bryan Cranston is in it real quick. Nathan Fillion is the original Brian. Funny looking back on that. So you have the grand scope of it. You also have some great dialogue scenes between the groups as to, war and who to save and why are we saving and why are we here. Some earn it, and I think it earns it all the way here. Still talked about to this day, Saving Private Ryan.
Absolutely. Like I said, it's a fantastic, unflinching looking film, for that type of film. Very good standard. The one, though, that got me, the number 1 on my list, of great war films. Steve McQueen, awesome actor, great cast as well along with him. But The Great Escape. If you have, Great Escape is basically you got a bunch of guys who were captured and they are trying to escape this Nazi prison by trying to tunnel their way out. And it's more of a different type of prison because they're kind of like, it's almost like if you ever watched Hogan's Heroes a little bit, where they can walk around camp. These guys can do the same thing, but they still have a little bit more of it. It's more of a serious thing than Hogan's Heroes. And Steve McQueen is just the leader of this group, and they all put it together. Again, you have Charles Bronson as well, in this film, and it's just like I said, it's just it's just a fun, beautiful shot film, and it's well worth the recognition that my number one. I just can't. I really enjoyed this one, and it's still on my list of things I like to watch on occasion. And this is a super long film too. Again, there was no short, films back in I guess the 70s or something, or 60s, but this was like a 2+ hour film. I remember it was on 2 VHS cassettes when I was a kid. So, that's a long film. It was on 2 VHS cassettes.
VHSs.
Yeah. So, but it's well worth the watch. The Great Escape with Steve McQueen.
Very nice. I know my mom was a McQueen fan, so it's one I haven't seen.
Yeah, you should watch it. You will enjoy it. I really think you will.
Very nice. It'll do a quick recap here for you for the top 10 war films according to us. Me, JPL, with number 10, Zulu, 9, The Hurt Locker, 8, Jojo Rabbit, 7, Letters from Iwo Jima, 6, Inglourious Bastards, 5, Fury, 4, Casablanca, 3, Hacksaw Ridge, 2, 1917, and number 1, Saving Private Ryan.
Okay, my top 10 coming from Dutch. That'll be number 10, MASH. Number 9, Full Metal Jacket. Number 8, Casablanca. Number 7, 1917. Number 6, The Bridge on the River Kwai. Number 5, The Dirty Dozen. Don't know why I always get stumped on that one for some reason. Maybe it's the 2 Ds. 4, Saving Private Ryan. Number 3, Europa. Number 2, Jojo Rabbit. And number 1 on my list, The Great Escape. So that's our top 10 war films of all time. You know what? I can't disagree with your list at all. I find, there was so many war films that are good to look at. And congratulations on your list. I love it.
Yeah, plenty of good movies to check out there. We had 4 overlaps this weekend, not too bad. So 6 unique recommendations each in our list here, and there's so many to talk about here too. So one topic shows you all different kind of ways you could go about telling it as well, whether it's with aliens, comedy, or straightforward.
Absolutely, man. And you know what time it is? It's that great time. It's that time in which you tell us all a little bit about some news and some notable stuff, I believe.
Yes, let's start off a little bit. A bit of a tribute here. I don't know if you're a fan. You might even be a bigger fan. I know Charles Grodin unfortunately passed away recently here. I really liked him, and he's someone that I think was missed these last few years. He popped up here and there. He's in a Robert De Niro movie not too long ago, The X with Zach Braff, and another Ben Stiller movie, but big star, I think, in the late 80s, early 90s here. Really funny stuff. So tribute to Charles Grodin.
Yeah, Beethoven. Did you not watch any of the Beethoven series? I think there was like 12 of them.
Yeah, you're right. That's probably why I liked him as a kid, because I started off with Beethoven for sure.
Yeah, that was his big one. Midnight Run is a good one if you really want to take a good look at what he can do with serious, like serious comedy with a good Robert De Niro. So Midnight Run is a good watch as well. So there you go. So
shout out to,
other than.
No, I just want to say, yeah, shout out to Charles Grodin. Last seen 2017 is in A Perfect Murder with Alec Baldwin. He was in the movie. It's actually called The Comedian with Robert De Niro.
Okay.
All right. So, and he was in Beethoven too. Let's not forget. All right. There's some other news and notes coming out this week. If you're going in a few days to the theater, May 28th, we'll see we've said it before. It's finally happening, folks. I think A Quiet Place 2 will finally get the sequel to the Krasinski Blunt movie from that we're supposed to get in theaters in March of last year. So over a year it was delayed. And Cruella as well with my future wife, Emma Stone. I almost said Emily Blunt. Well, they're both my future wives. All right. Knives Out 2. We talked about this last week. It seems like we're going to talk about it almost every week because it's got a great cast. Not only our boy Batista, but also Catherine Hahn has been added, as well as Kate Hudson has been added to the Knives Out 2 cast. So that's a really, really good cast reporting over there. Borat, if you like Borat 2, you can see the supplemental reportings on Amazon on May 25th here in a couple days. Viewed kind of like a Jackass 2.5 kind of thing. It's basically stuff that probably wasn't deemed good enough for the main feature, but might have been still funny enough to where if you want to see more Borat, you'll get it here. The 8th and final season of Brooklyn Nine-Nine will premiere August 12th at 8 p.m. with back-to-back episodes, a whole hour. Brooklyn Nine-Nine as we say goodbye. We're not saying goodbye, though, to Jimmy Fallon. The Tonight Show with Fallon has been renewed for 5 more years at NBC. So Jimmy will rule late night on NBC for a while to come. Speaking of things continuing, Be Positive, the Thomas Middleditch comedy, and United States of Al have both earned season 2s over at CBS. Dutch, are you sitting?
Yes, sir.
Are you sitting down?
I'm sitting down. What's going on, man? What bad news are you going to give me?
Zack Snyder has said that he's got the director's cut to Sucker Punch. He's now trying to get a longer Sucker Punch out there. Who's asking for this?
No one is asking. This man is so
he
is so full of his shit. Okay, plain and simple. See, I give him a 3.5, and this is what happens. He brings out more shit that we don't want. He wants also. I told you that he says I have my 3rd script for the 300. No one gives a shit, Zach. No one cares. Stop it, please. Stop it. Just focus on some shit that's actually wanted for once. God, he pisses me off.
Well, here's some maybe good news for you. Prodigal Son is being shopped around. The creators are hoping that there will be a new home for that. So
I'm hoping.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Fingers
being shopped around in a way as well as Evil and SEAL Team, not canceled, but moving to Paramount Plus. So they will be exclusives to there for their new seasons. Interesting show coming up. Arnold Schwarzenegger's spy series has been picked up for 8 episodes over at Netflix, his first TV show or series. Jenna Ortega, who I thought has been great recently in the show You, and she was also, I think, the standout in the second I don't know. She's in a movie we both kind of liked. She has been casted as Wednesday in the live-action series based on, yes, the Addams Family Babysitter. She was in Babysitter too.
Okay.
She's the new girl that was in that. And she's been cast as Wednesday, the new Addams Family Wednesday series for Netflix. And then finally, the last thing I have here, if you got anything after this, if you like, what is it, Harley Quinn on HBO Max, well, we're getting a lot of DC cartoons on HBO Max because they are ordering both Batman, Cape Crusader, and Jack Quaid, who's the lead of The Boys, or one of the leads, will voice Clark Kent in the new Superman one, My Adventures with Superman. So that's pretty exciting here.
Well, you know, the Batman. Yeah, the Batman, that's from they want the ones from the Batman animated series are going to recreate that. So that should be a good teaming, hopefully. The notes that I have for you, if it's all right, we got, as you know, F9, Fast and Furious 9, doesn't come out until like June 25th, right, in the States. Overseas, the big news overseas, I don't know if you read this or not, but they are making, at this moment, it has made $160 million. Yes, F9 is out there in the world, but not here, of course. I don't know why. No reason. But 100.
it was kind of perfect timing. As you said, that much money, Tyrese was in front of a stack of cash, like freaking out. So it was just
Yeah.
very.
See, it's perfect. But yeah, it's so true. 160 million plus openings overseas. By gosh, they already made their money back. So if they were worried about the pandemic doing some type of damage to this box office, they've already made it worldwide. So the states, we could phone it in, right, guys? Right? We gonna phone it in. But yeah, I am shocked about the how early they are. Also, the Highlander, is being rebooted possibly. By Lionsgate, so that's still in the mark. And then Henry Cavill, Henry Cavill, sorry, is the one who will possibly reprise the Lambert role. I don't think I have any much more than that, buddy. I mean, really, there's a lot of things that are that we just, there's nothing really to go about. Danny Masterson, yes, remember we talked about him briefly. He is going to court. He is going to face charges of 3 rapes. So there you go. There's some news for you. Danny Masterson, big fan of the 70s show as he was on. So he is actually going to stand trial very soon for his alleged trespasses. So that's a good thing. Finally, our criminal system is going back on to where it was. So that's going to be a good thing to see. Also, I don't really have any more. I want to leave on a good note, don't we?
I was gonna say, do me a small favor. Don't end with that.
Yeah. Let's live.
Just have like follow up. That's why I didn't end with Charles Grodin.
Well, that's we don't want to end with Charles Grodin, but
he's listening.
I know. I don't have anything good other than
find something.
Okay, I'm gonna find something here. Hold on, give me 2 seconds. Fill in the gap. Right. How was your weekend so far?
It was good. I may be, well, that's not good for our relationship because I might be moving away from you, but I won't be homeless, so that's good.
All by myself.
I was mentioning to you before, if you're a fan of CSI will be coming back. At one point, we had not 1, not 2, but 3 CSIs running: Vegas, New York, and Miami. At one point, they all one by one got canceled. Vegas is returning, including familiar faces, including a guy that actually left it towards the end, William Peterson. I like him. I wish he did other things. Now that I think about it, by the way, why doesn't he do more? And Georgia Fox, who I also think could do more. They'll both be returning, as well as a couple other cast members. Paul Guilfoyle, I think I read. So if you're into that, CSI we rebooted. I know Dutch can't wait.
Yeah. You know what? Here's something. We all know Amazon is in talks to buy MGM Studios for $9 billion. So they're looking into it. They're kicking the tires and seeing because they're looking at the Pink Panther, Legally Blonde, and of course James Bond. They work with them, so they're thinking, well, there might be some cash to milk a little bit more, so they'll be behind anything future if this deal goes through. So that's probably one of the most interesting new tidbits. And you said that SEAL Team is moving over to Paramount, correct?
Yeah.
Now SEAL Team, I believe that has the Boreanaz as on that show, I believe.
Yes.
Well, that means he will still continue to work on some form of television streaming, or not. If they don't, if something happened and they didn't want him, then his record would be over. Since he's been on TV since Buffy, so he's not been on any hiatus since Buffy the Vampire Slayer up till now. So the man was in danger for a second of not getting this show. But congratulations, David Boreanaz, for sticking to it and finding some gems of television. I mean, literally, he's found some television that lasts a lot longer. So that's good dude.
Angel, 5 good seasons. One of my favorite shows, definitely my top 20, if not higher. Bones had almost a decade, I want to say 7, 8, 9, something like that. And SEAL Team's going on a little bit as well. So yeah, good for him. He has constantly been on our screens, man. So good for Angel. Just like Angel, He won't die.
Yeah, he's so far we have at least on this show. It looks like he has 4 seasons, almost five. If what if you're saying is true, going over to Paramount, 5 seasons. The guy's got syndication out the wazoo, my friend. He's better than Friends. So, but no, that's all the news we got this week. I'm glad that we didn't leave it.
Just then too. Idris Elba says the Luther movie will start shooting in September. You like Luther, don't you?
Oh, I love Luther.
Great.
The last season was only 3 episodes. The last season, but I've always thought it could cross over to the film side and just be a standalone. And I'm hoping that does as well. I hope you don't have to watch the show to get the movie. So that's important to me. For any crossover. So yeah, congratulations, Idris. I love you. Keep up the good work, my friend.
Yeah, congratulations. Like, you need the help. No, but I love him as well, man. He can be James Bond. He can do whatever the hell he wants to do.
I wanted to be James Bond. I mean, I have floated that with a whole bunch of people in my group, that I talked to about James Bond, and I'm like, guys,
baby.
What do you guys think? And I think only one person was adamant that it had to be a woman. And I was like, what? I said, and I'm okay with a woman.
You don't have to force it, and like I said, Idris Elba, I'm not forcing because of breaking ground. Although that's kind of cool, I'm just forcing because I think he's suave, he's good looking, like he's an action guy, like
he's English. He's English, and he has, like I said, he's everything in the box, buddy. I mean, literally,
blonde, like you can do whatever, and you really should be able to do whatever with any character. So
absolutely, it's just a page. That's all. That's all that actor is. He's just a page of a book. So, but no, I do appreciate this show. It was a good show. Started a little rocky, but that's just how
off air we curse each other.
Yeah, off air we spit in each other's general direction, but
just the monitor, and then the monitor gets all dirty. We're like, oh, sorry.
I squish your head. I squish your head. I squeeze your head. But no, I've always loved our things that we do on and off the screen.
Is that Operation Demo Drop behind me?
It is. How is that even a movie? I guess see, mine is not too different. They're dropping an elephant off.
Like everything else is pretty serious. Like I didn't really look at this montage. But
yeah, you got Pearl Harbor and
right. I do like that movie a lot too.
Black Hawk Down.
Yeah, it's a good one. Not in my list.
You got MASH. I think, and I can't remember the name of that horse movie behind you.
War Horse.
Thank you. So
that was a movie. I didn't see the horse movie.
Yeah, it's the horse movie behind you. I think that's what it's called.
That's War Horse, I think.
And I think everything else is all upsettingly bad, except for except for the 2 movies of MASH and Operation Tempo Drop. Ray Liotta tries his chops at comedy.
He's only funny when he's being serious in like a funny movie. Like I don't know if he's super funny, but when he's serious in a funny movie and it's the right dialogue.
Yeah, that's the only time he's funny. You're right. I agree wholeheartedly with you on that. But
that's our Ray Liotta review for the week. We hope you liked it.
Thank you, Ray, for showing up today. I will kick their asses. I will make sure they die. Thank you, Ray. That's usually the charming part of you. Yeah, that's why we don't invite him out to dinner.
I'd be more afraid to invite Joe Pesci. What, am I funny to you? Do I make you laugh? Am I a clown?
Yes, you're about the size of one.
Okay, I'm a clown. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, that was a show about Joe. Dutch McAllister, JBO. Like it, subscribe, tell a friend, tell an enemy.
Keep watching.
More than you'll ever know.
Well, you keep telling them that. I don't think they believe it.
Oh, lies.
Okay, that's all that matters.
All right. Have a good night, Dutch.
Good night.
Whisper.